Okay, so today I'm going to um, try something different and talk about a topic that someone on my YouTube channel asked about. And it's a lot of people ask me this. It is about how I got into nudism. And I definitely tell this a lot. I definitely explain this a lot because um, I guess when people know how you get into something, then they kind of can picture it for their own lives and see how like they could make that transition of how a seemingly regular person eventually gets into this thing. Um, yeah, so I have been a nudist for either 5 or 6 years now. So I wasn't born that. I didn't grow up that way. Um, and I think probably the way I grew up made me made nudism appeal to me. Um, yeah, I think I grew up more, I guess, like innocent in a certain way. Um, yeah, I didn't do a lot. Like, I definitely studied, and I was like very much a good girl, and I didn't get out much, you know. Um, and I think nudism now appeals to me because um, it's a social thing, but it's also like a different level of connection than just like hanging out at the movies or something. Like it's like a different level. Yeah, so I guess from where I was at, I was, doing mostly conventional things, but it wasn't really bringing me a lot of joy. I didn't know how many, I had no idea about nudism or any like sort of niche community or lifestyle. Um, so I just knew that like I was getting less satisfaction out of life, and um, I kind of like got, I guess, depressed around college, freshman year, sophomore year of college, where I kind of just was start to be exposed to this whole bigger world, and there was so much that I could put my attention on. So I started to feel like limited by the way I lived my life up until that point. Um, so I guess it kind of took like a time of desperation to realize like I wanted to try new things and explore things I'd never explored before. So yeah, I would say that freshman year, sophomore year of college, like I kind of like hit rock bottom of my life, I would say, in terms of just like feeling like I needed to make a change. I needed to try something different because what I had been doing was just like not working for me anymore. Um, so I started to just try a bunch of things that like were interesting to me without trying to figure out what it meant or how it would fit into the grander scheme of things or whether like it was the right thing to do or whether it would have longevity. I just said, okay, this thing, I don't know why it appeals to me. I'm going to go for these things. So I started out with different diets. Like growing up, I always had issues with weight. I in the sixth grade, I was a member of Weight Watchers. I had always had trouble because I was eating really bad food. Um, so well, I don't want to call any food necessarily good or bad. I just want to say that that food was not working for me, whatever I was eating. So I was like, let me try a different diet. So I started with like a raw food diet, and I started to like feel better, and I started to feel like more energized, and then I didn't know that it would be tied to a whole lifestyle. So there's a lot of ties with like spirituality and yoga and nature, along with the whole raw food diet. So then I started to just naturally like fall into more of like I'd be doing Google searches for raw food, and then I would hit upon some other things like yeah, more nature, more like the energy of being in the ocean and things like that. I grew up very indoors kid, so I didn't. So nature was like a new thing to me, and I went to school in New York City, so nature was just like this whole new thing for me. Um, and so yeah, I would say probably the raw food diet, and it took me to different stores too. So I wasn't hanging out. I was hanging out at different stores. So in order to buy raw food, I was going to like health food stores and stuff, and they would have different pamphlets. And I saw a pamphlet for this. They called it the Raw Food Expo. So I was like, great, I'll go to this expo, learn about it. So I went to the Raw Food Expo, and there they had a lot of spiritual stuff and I was like, okay, well I know a little bit about spirituality, astrology, different things like that. But it was just a whole vibe. There were like cool, accepting people there, and this idea of like community and friendship started to like enter the scene. And I became really like fascinated with studying like anything I could like get my hands on. So then I started to get into spirituality, psychic stuff, new age, all these different things. I went camping for the first time, and I was more aware of um, how nature made me feel, and I felt more balanced if I was like with the flow of nature. So like I had terrible sleep cycle. I was always, it was college. I was up late and sleeping during the day. And then I started to realize, oh, maybe I should do something more natural. I should, wake up when the sun is up and go to sleep when the sun's down, kind of a thing. And then that had me feel happier, more balanced. So then from there, I got really into psychic stuff. So I decided to go to this workshop where I saw this like psychic woman, and she's like a big believer in reincarnation and stuff. And she basically gave readings to different people. And the readings she gave to me was that I had had a bunch of spiritual lifetimes in the past, but this lifetime's about like engaging in the material world and not like checking out and being involved in like creating things in this actual world rather than isolating myself. And she was like, "You're doing great. Just take a risk. Like take more risks and stuff." So that evening, I was going back home through Grand Central Station, and it was around Christmas time, and there were Christmas carolers singing, and I always used to sing, so I was like, "Oh, this is great! I'm gonna like go up and sing with them," because I felt really confident about that. So they were friendly people, and they were like, "Oh yeah, totally sing with us." They taught me different part harmonies, whatever. And I met this cool guy, and it turns out he lived like 2 miles from where I was living, and we both decided to like take the I think it was the train back together. Yeah, we both like got home in the same way basically, and he like became my new friend. And so he introduced me to this whole new world that I probably would have never experienced. So he was very he was very good at like working with his hands. He's very good at just like walking up to strangers, which I always wanted to do, but I always was afraid to do. And he I guess had this like farmer energy about him. Like he was really like he would make foods and go to farmers markets. So I was able to like connect with him with my whole raw food stuff. And he also went to this liberal arts college near me, so I met like cool, like funky people. I met a bunch of like LGBT people. It was really cool. So already like my world was expanding. And then one day he invited me and someone else to go to he said the beach and Six Flags Great Adventure theme park. And I think once we committed, I don't think I even knew it was a nude beach, but then he said it was a nude beach. So I decided I had a moment where I was like, okay, am I going to do this? Like, am I actually going to do this? And then I was like, yeah, okay. And I was definitely very nervous that day. I was like on guard the whole time. Like sometimes they say like, oh, the first time you forget you're naked. I'm pretty sure I didn't forget I was naked, but I mean, nowadays I do, but and I just loved it. I'm just like, I became obsessed with it. So then I knew that was like my next lead that I had to follow. So I was like, how can I do this all the time? This is who I really am. So I looked for the closest place that I could be naked. And I found a nudist resort in New Jersey. It was like the closest place I could like drive to be naked. So then I connected with that. I joined like a nudist website, and I had never had like photos of me naked. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe like this is like the point of no return. Like I'm never going to be president. Like, but I went on a nudist website, and then I started networking and meeting cool people. And I met people at the nudist resort that connected me with like different younger nudists as well. Because I loved it so much. I was like, if I'm going to hang out with like older nudists, like that's cool. I didn't even like think beyond it. I was just like, I didn't care. But then I was like, oh, there's actually access to like a whole bunch of like young nudists that are interested in connecting. So it just like really snowballed. And it's something that I never like said, you know what I'm going to be when I grow up, a nudist. Like, it's something that I could have even planned. I didn't even know that it was like a thing. And what I didn't expect was the sense of like community. I never really thought like community was the thing I like wanted or needed or a person needed in their life. But I'd always been kind of a loner. So when I started to find the sense of community and the way that I can connect to people through community, I was like, oh my God, this is essential. Like, this is like so much better. I can relate so much better this way. Um, because I mean, I've had different issues with social anxiety before. Because I recognize like I'm like weirder than the average person, maybe. No, I think average people are probably weird. Nobody lets themselves be weird. But anyway, I cannot not be weird, whereas other people are better at hiding it. So I had certain levels of social anxiety. But I love this idea of like nudism because it's like an instant icebreaker and people are so friendly and already like you have a certain thing in common. And like the type of person that is willing to push away social norms and try it are the type of people that I found I really connected with. Um, so so then it just snowballed. And then I think with the advent of social media becoming bigger, now it's like we could meet people all over the world, and um, and so that's how it just kind of grew into something that I didn't necessarily design deliberately, but it happened to me, and it's been exciting. Yeah. So wow, that was over 10 minutes. Cool. So that was my talk about about how I got into nudism. Yeah, so maybe in the future I'll start to do some more topics and stuff because I think people find it interesting. I think I take it for granted, so I'm like bored by it. Like I'm just bored by saying the same old stories, but clearly people find it interesting. So, yeah, I hope that was valuable. Right.